Oh, that's amazing. But anyway, so I guess it's pretty amazing, you know. Nibiru, people could have listened into. Nibiru used to orbit, of course, Sirius B. I think we were sharing in our last program a little. And just to recap this just a bit, of course, you've got Sirius A and Sirius B. And Sirius B is a much smaller sun, and then also does have a planet a lot like Earth. Yeah, but bigger than Earth, but quite a bit covered by water. But anyway, Nibiru sort of orbits further out into space and gets closer to Sirius. And Nibiru is a constellation itself. And so Nibiru used to orbit Sirius B, and then celestial dynamics occurred 450,000 BC. And Nibiru was really close by during that era. And things were much closer together, of course, back then as well, 450,000 years ago, BCE. But observed, if we could just consider just for a moment the observed annual increase in precession rate that the Earth goes through, you know, it sort of goes from, it wobbles, you know, the magnetic north wobbles, and you've got the precession of the seasons that affect the Earth. You've got winter, and then you've got spring and summer and fall in a year, and you've got this sort of precession. And this sort of observed annual increase in the precessional rate, which is actual occurred measurement, you know, they've wondered what that is, but that really is due, that annual increase in the precessional rate that's observed of the Earth, that is due to an external influence, and it is not due to the Earth's axial motion at all. I think that certainly the Jet Propulsion Lab needs to be able to explain this, and not just explain everything away because they've found somebody used a picture that was put by an artist to explain something. But you can explain exactly what's occurring there in that annual increase in precessional rate, that it is due to an external influence, and that is explained exactly by the expectation being within a binary star system, you see. So there's a lot of things that we can see around us that perfectly is explained as constants that we have by understanding today more cosmologically that we are in a binary star system. And our sun and the dog star Sirius are oscillating towards each other sometimes and also away from each other, you see, as they're traveling around the central sun, Alcyone. And you see, other sort of velocity, sorts of acceleratedness of this solar system that's approaching, you would imagine would be increasing if it were coming further toward us, and absolute evidence does show that it is increasing in its speed. You've got a lot of things that's going on, Earth changes, that perfectly is explained by this binary star system that we're in, and with the dog star Sirius and Nibiru on its way in. And certainly the planets all having been heated up quite radically, you know, since March the 3rd, 2003, we've had a 30% something more luminosity than we usually have. This perfectly also explains this reflection and greater luminosity that we have here at the moment, and certainly the heating of the planets furthest out, getting colder furthest in, but still sort of having heated up like 0.7 of a degree the Earth or something. But velocity acceleration that increases until the closest approach of the perihelion, and then a decrease to reach the furthest point of separation, which the Earth's precessional evidence is that our solar system really is in this binary star system. And the dog star Sirius and our solar system has a cycle of 25,772 years, and yet time can have not really necessarily been perfectly constant, just to be of a number just so perfect, 25,772 years as an average. But can this be really disturbing, as we've started to talk a bit about, and you could tune into our programs to learn more. But certainly we could say that the Oort cloud, which is really out on the outer edge of our solar system, there's a bit of a disturbance, every so often there, and that in that Oort cloud out there, and that creates a very serious comet sort of like threat to Earth. And by such sort of Oort cloud, asteroid, and comet body sort of on the outer edge, and those things becoming a bit disturbed, you've got things that sort of happen and going on. A golden age certainly is being approached right now by our binary solar system we're coming into, and this is going to create meaningful change, of course, of itself, with greater luminosity for us and our brain. And the Earth is continuously, Lukey, passing through these shooting galleries, mate, of comets. And the dog star Sirius sort of really does disturb the sun's Oort cloud every 25,772 years, approximately. And that's equivalent to a lot of the mass die-offs and things, even the dinosaur extinction. And certainly the Earth's precessional evidence of our own sun being in a binary system and both stars oscillating in and out, creating a paramagnetic and diamagnetic force, and the jet propulsion, Yodelmans, or just doesn't go into any of this at all. Trying to just put out a fixed view of the universe and explain away and just say that not any evidence much exists of all of this having occurred much in the past. That's just totally not true at all. But certainly there's lots of lava core flowing and things that have shown radical alternation of the Earth's magnetic field, and having even radically altered 20, 40 degrees within a very short period of time, and this sort of thing. But certainly both stars, the dog star Sirius and our sun, sort of are going around our Clayone, which is the central sun, big one where we're going around, and that is in the Pleiades. And if you looked out from the Pleiades, or you looked at the Pleiades, from another constellation of stars in our galaxy, you'd see that the dog star Sirius and our sun are part of the Pleiades. Both stars oscillate in and out from each other, of course, and from each you've got this paramagnetic and diamagnetic sort of forces and things, and a growing of a Vesca Pisces, where you've got two ellipses crossing over into each other, and in that common area is the Vesca Pisces, and you've got a growing larger, and including the solar system where we are of a maximal golden age, or then you've got this Vesca Pisces thinning, and you've got the stars moving further apart to the aphelion point. But as a perihelion is being incurred in our solar system, Nibiru is really coming in, and that's what's going on right now, mate. You know what I mean? Yeah. But anyway, the furthest reaches of outer space really is represented inside our inner intestinal garden, and certainly all these Earth changes and things and changes that's going on with species extinction and fish dying off in Nebraska, and Kansas is not Kansas anymore, sort of thing. There's a lot of shown by bizarre changes being incurred presently in our solar system. Certainly the radical increase of earthquake and this sort of tremor increase and that sort of thing. But the Chandler wobble apparently ceased about 10 years ago, and mass does change in size and distribution given what is naturally observed. And these forces are uniformly incurred everywhere, because what we're really talking about is the fourth dimensional matter as cosmic energy, and all planets float really within this, and all of this is really composed of. But on a quantum level, of course, Earth's field really is amplified intentionally by biology, and it's like a friction grid generated by moving particles through space. And this incurs vescopices of individual particle overlap and interon we've been talking about in some of our program, like a graviton interon, the very substructure of matter as its inner wave is, and it's sort of like a triangular shape. Yeah. But this has sort of 33 faces incurred, which is also in the blood, in the iron's core, in its hemoglobin, and incurring a fluid flow of energy that is beautifully able to fertilize your brain. And the queen, of course, she lives for 4 years and has a consciousness even with the beekeeper, and is an omnipresent consciousness. And the worker might just sort of be aware of things about a week, 3 weeks. That's it, sort of thing. But iron core in our hemoglobin, of course, in humans, really does incur a beautiful fluid flow of energy that fertilizes the brain. So you really are fully alive. And there's a very beautiful photo, meaning light, sonic, meaning sound, electric response. And this is occurring right now in the universe as a binary solar system in our biology and also in our blood. And also the very first sense, of course, to form on Earth is the vestibular sense. And this is all this sort of creates an integrative sense of balancing all. It has a very beautiful three semicircular canals on both sides of, as an otolith and sacule and vestibules. That sense for you, your whole body movement, and your being integrated, and your shoulders really nice and relaxed, and your tummy and your heart really nice and relaxed. And everybody does need, in this day and age, technical teachers. See, we've got to clear away all of the commercial sort of information and start people causing them to be able to harvest for themselves. But, movements including directions up and down and in and out and forward and back and turning and time being suspended and something before and after. These are words which relate to whole body movement, and any word that is relating a whole body movement is a vestibular word, just like to see what I mean is visual. And the sound of the words we're using to discuss, to mention, to admit and explain is auditory, and to go and to get and to have and to do is kinesthetic. And when you're moving forward, back, up, down, in, time suspended, and you're being in timelessness now, these are vestibular words, which we could have a program, and we're going to be talking a bit about this in the time that we have to come specifically about the vestibular system ever more. But we're giving people a bit of an overview of things, aren't we? But look, there are 7 chakra, of course, the 7 stars we're evolving around. These 7 notes and 11 layers, centers exist between these notes and represent 11 cranial nerves that you have from raising your eyebrows to swallowing and your cardiac reflex. And these involve nerves in your head, and this is called the vagal enteric nervous system, and this regulates the autonomic nervous system involving the parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system. So the vagal enteric nervous system is a component of this, which people can have never really necessarily heard about, but it does cause a break on the sympathetic and parasympathetic, and your trigeminal nerve and your jaw and your muscles of your face really being nice and relaxed. But you should really be listening to the face of these, very importantly, and having a focus on the path of least resistance where we are, and certainly doing everything we can not to get in anyone else's way. Most people are in their way so much themselves, and we have to have such deep compassion for people. But the human rib cage certainly does focus the heart beat and resonance upward, into the cranium from the heart, and it acts as resonators, these ribs, and the vertebrae act as stepping up this vibrational note from the bottom of the spine and the ribs all the way upward. And the heart's compression wave is transformed of its mechanical and acoustical dynamic, and it excites high energy electron to flow in the anti-gravity space of the heart. And this electron flow, and there's a very beautiful way this acoustical flow and fluid dynamic has incurred while being channeled into the crown of the head. And this produces a beautiful ionization and energy that's available for electron flow, and going down the scale, getting back your 432 hertz, not listening to 440 music anymore, and getting back your Christ consciousness within yourself. This is what Pankashila here represents. If we talk about the people's message here, the Atlantean ones amongst us and the natives. But the inner eustachian tube, in our inner ear to the inner throat, that inner eustachian tube on both sides of our throat to our inner ear equalizes the inner pressure of the inner ear, and inside the tympanic membrane. And the air really is made to spin, of course, as it comes in, and ions as well. And there's a lengthening of the inspiration through our nose, and ideas come to us from this beautiful inspiration. And a person can have sensed the feeling of ecstasy just simply by having a conscious attunement more to the inspiration of the breath and having felt inspired, So at the end of our having connected in with each other, you really are feeling very, very charged and energized, and things are quiet and relaxed inside, and you have a feeling of excitement, like you know what to do. But the air really is made to spin through the tubercles edge of your nose as you're breathing in, and lengthening the inspiration through the nose so very nicely, and making sure that the shoulders and heart and everything is really relaxing and that. And this is our original condition. There is no such thing as an ab-original, ab meaning not. You are an original if you're listening to this program, and it's amazing that we have such a beautiful family around us here. If anybody's interested, they'd love to be assisting, help us set up a whole brain functioning training center here we've been given some land, and it's so beautiful, gorgeous, and it's in a really, really sacred area close by our Cayenne here, in the mountains. But if anybody would love to, who's listening, they'd love to reach out. They can connect in with Lukey, and perhaps there's a way for us to connect with each other. But anyway, look, you really have a very deep, beautiful ability to be able to have mastery over the kinesthetic self. And as somebody is having mastery over the kinesthetic self, they can manage and can deal with any energy in the external world. But certainly you can go inside and see this beautiful integratedness and peace inside yourself. But trying to order everything on the outside to have this isn't so. But this is found in every person. And as you have this inside, you are loving. And there is no such thing as trying to give that to another person or another person trying to receive it, because that would be admitting or presupposing sort of some weakness or something, you know. But that's another story. We could be talking a bit about love, of course, which really is should be equivalent to time, being equivalent to creativity, and this should be how money is, not being damned or stopped or blocked, but given to flow. And energy flowing, and the most intelligent person certainly is the person who's looking after their mum and their dad, and always the story in the scriptures say this. But people could be burning more rubber and building more stuff and things, but they could be other than considerate and thinking about how is their parent. And certainly, as adults, we should become more civic-minded and be ever caring about the world we're creating and become more civically functioned. And this is the age of Aquarius, you see, that we're moving into. And Christ, which is Caesar, a word for Caesar, of course, but Tankashila means this energy of Wankantonka here now as a warmth and blood amongst us, inside you. And this is a warmth and blood beyond anything historical, which is called intent and comparison. But this, which we're talking about here, is this livingness, you know. You have this inside yourself here. But air is really made to spin, and it's more than just what you're blowing out that you can feel against your skin in the air, but as something more magnetic and plasma-orientated and ions. And in an inordinate amount of ions are built up as the hemispheres of our brain are cycling as one. And people can do the most remarkable thing to clear away and say no to the harmful things and find beautiful ways organically to be completely healed up. And so most people who have done this, they really are great testimony, you know, to everyone healing up. But, of course, most people would say in this goat jumping on top of another goat, that doesn't really save any money at all, you know. But it does save lives, and it is a great care about the crickets and the birds. And, you know, this probably could be the last voice of this ancient forest, you know. And all we can see is this forest, perhaps, no more, you know. Anyway, it's really a beautiful that the sage's mind is perfectly asleep, and having the mind permanently be asleep, and in the dreamingness to create the playing and playfulness of things, and creating fluffy magnets and strange attractors that cause people to be drawn more into the future, and events and things is actually what really is doing this. But anyway, things really are filled up otherwise, you know, in the person's parietal lobes, and there's a lot of associative sort of thinking having been going on. And that can have clouded thoroughly anybody's true reasoning and that, you know. But that's sometime we should really talk a bit about how damaging rumor is, you know, and even people can have completely forgotten the beautiful good work and energy of someone's beingness in themselves, and we could explain this, why this is so, and how these experiments at the Max Planck Institute show how damaging, rumours are, which are not correct. But it's really important to us to be able to correct the things that we can by going inside and finding this integrated self within ourselves. And this is where orderliness can be found, and associated being and congruency. And then we should be talking a bit about this in time to come as well. But as stress is permanently reduced, otherwise, the blood really can't sort of really remain in the viscera, in your digestion to assimilate and assist to help repair. And fear could have wrongfully, having been shunted of any all of the blood nutrient other than nicely allowing this to be in the brain, it could have otherwise in the past have been shunted into the limb, into sympathetic sort of fright, fear response. And eugenically, that's a phantom, and that's a fiction that could have been allowed just to poison imagination from negative feelings, not having been stopped now, once and for all time. But anyway, that's another story. Look, the brain really does feed proper nutrient, and integrates it all into functioning. And as you've cleared everything away, this is equivalent to God. And as you do clean, and you do see cleaning happening, and things being thrown away that you are not using, marvelous, absolutely marvelous. No work to be done inside. God really is loving you. There you go. But anyway, look, there's a network of pyramids, and they are beautifully triangular shaped and expanding and contracting with the inspiration and expiration in our blood. And in certainly the social order and an instinctive sense of awareness that we have is really beautifully being available to us as you have enough iron in your blood. And certainly animals that have iron in their blood are really beautifully loving of themselves and have a gorgeous ability to be able to keep themselves company, and that's so nice. Yeah. Anyway, look, everything's available inside, and then there's this macro and micro molecular cycles we've been talking a little bit about, and how iron sort of allows you to be having this beautiful breathing and inspiration and expiration. But then as this is happening then and activated, beautifully, faithfully, protein now, synthesis is being occurred, coenzyme Q10 being produced right now, vitamin C, cobalamin, B12, everything being produced right now in your intestinal garden that you're wrapped around, and we've got to be inclusive of this, and the vast majority of scientists have never even considered the importance of the garden you're wrapped around, this beautiful earth garden that you have inside yourself. But anyway, while awareness really is beyond the senses, this eye is really seeing beyond, what can really be seen, and beyond, what's really being heard, and even beyond what you can have felt or even have experienced. But love produces these beautiful endogenous opiates, beta endorphins and kephalins, and gorgeous anandamines, and we have a whole range of cannabinoid receptors in neurology, which are anxiolytic, and meaning anti-anxiety, and antipsychotic, meaning anti-delusional, and this really allows the brain to be functioning really beautifully and allowing blood to be in the viscera so nicely. And playfulness is our original condition in the family, and playfulness is what really is really always bringing harmony. Otherwise, everybody should get the message just to lighten up. You know what I mean? Yeah. But anyway, look, the urinary bladder, it's acting as a resonator, you see. And if you've had to get up in the night and pee and all that sort of thing, that's a voice. Stop that. Correct it now. it's all the food stuffs you're eating which is dead. Stop. Life begets life, and dead begets dead. Anyway, that's another story. Look, this voice is coming to you from the furthest reaches of outer space, inside yourself, and when you can hear your tummy grumbling. But look, the ventricles in your head are resonating, and such upper chambers, and the triangular pyramidal shape of the blood corpuscle exposed and energized by the heart's percussion, and the heart's full compression wave is really reflecting this beautifully and emanating from the bone, the body's bone, and the heart in this freestanding state inside its pericardium sac, beating frictionlessly, slipping beautifully within a sac, not connected to the structure, and it sort of beats frictionlessly, uncoupled, and really beautifully being unsullied, you see, by its surrounding hard structure of bone and body. But the body is sort of purposefully designed to create and apply resonance, and as a consequence of the heart being freestanding, for its resonating and its perfection and functioning efficiently and freely. And, you really, got to have this boy a beautiful joy, and you've got to really be where education is occurring at the edge of the cliff, and this is really where all judgment and everything is free, and that's what that really does mean, But look, the position of the human's esophagus and the voice box with its strings vibrating and creating speech with sound. It's really remembered motor movement pattern that's resonance of your voice box coupled, and the muscles that make these movements of your lips and a diaphragm and mouth and tongue, creating the resonance of sound, and these motor movements that's being read as you're listening to these sounds for this to make sense to you. But this is really being diagnosed and is really being calculated, you see. And it's possible to really be able to tune in and get an understanding that there could have been a missing note and also a stress note. You could really be tuning into our program and learning more about these two notes and how to use these notes, and the natives use these to assist to help heal. But blood having sort of an ion, a triangulation in its core, maximizes the transfer of energy of the heart standing compression wave throughout the body, and even airborne spoken sound. So all sort of really is incurred of 7 notes and rays being emitted to be incurred of these beautiful 9 cardinal points and layers as an intron phase conjugation occurring, and sound is made to energize the space being projected into, and it also could have been done such that it sort of really just stripped energy away from any object that sort of really was present there that had a slightly coarser sort of vibration, But lines of force, Lukey, collect only where they are meant to in health, you see. Otherwise, you've got an antenna of debris radiating lines of force where it's really not meant to be, You go near dirty electricity, and you've got a big old antenna in your body of connective tissue which shouldn't really be there. Otherwise, sort of radiant energy is picked up as an antenna for such, and then that's being applied for dysbiotic electrical valence, which can be cleared away as you strip away all the debris and stop all this dead food. And life begets life, and make sure you've got an empty shelf and an empty drawer, very important. Yeah. Anyway, look, this is sort of beautiful because, are you there, Lukey?
Yep. Yeah.
I've got a little bit more time, mate.
Yep. Got at least 5 minutes.
Oh, thank you so much. Isn't that amazing how time flies? My God. It's unbelievable, you know. But speaking of plastic conditions and things, and fat and debris is just really acid. And people are seriously addicted to dead food and couch potato stuff. But they should wake up, you know. But you'll look around and you'll see people smiling and they have beautiful, relaxed faces. They really are in service of others. And the greatest servant is the master, mate. And the master really is the servant's servant, mate. Yeah, and that's how it is, you see. But certainly dysbiotic electrical violence could have been set up by all manner of hierarchy and sexism and racism and sectarian thinking and polarized thinking and sorting for what's the opposite and controlledness of others, and certainly using possessions and things to control others is a very serious sickness, you know, that's occurred on the earth. People need to wake up from. But look, everything sort of really can cause a beautiful symbiosis so lovingly, and it can block all of the body cell and corpuscle from having been fused and aggregated and differentiated to become dysbiotic life colloid. But there you go. You can clear all this away. You can learn how to do this. But the economy of your body really is incurred in health. And then calcium phosphate deposit, which is cementing most people from their pineal glands and causing people just to justify where things are, which is cognitive dissonance, or they call that Stockholm syndrome. But as the body ailment really is relentlessly newly being brought in still, and that's wrongfully having been stored, but we do get a great vibrance as we're clearing all of that away, and this is all self-evident. Each vertebrae is tuned to slightly stepped-up frequency, and each series a higher frequency than the previous one, and each raising up of the frequency and vibration coming from your subterranean urinary bladder space and resonating the bone of the iliac crest in your hips. And then the shape of an ankh has been found imprinted in and projected, you know, sound waves, and projects sound waves more perfectly than any other shape. And that is the shape that they did use in Egypt. Look, you've got to get 78% of your nerve force needed, you know, for the axon hillock to pass the information on, and for excitation and inhibition to be input and summed up, and then to pass things on. And to clear away all stuck states required, you know, you need a large enough resource state, you know, and then you've collapsed any such stuck resource state into this. And this is sort of really an ancient physics principle, and certainly Toltec and Native American, which are very, very intelligent, way more intelligent than what white people have thought, you know, yeah. But look, the size of any phoneme, like an idea or even a dysbiotic condition within this pyramidal structure really does matter a lot, you know, because the larger the dysbiotic, the larger the pyramidal structure needs to be to have its effect. And the body is built to be a house of nature and only like food to support it. A house can be built for thousands of years, of course, or otherwise it could be just built and last maybe 35 years. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You there, Lukey?
Yep. I'm sometimes I can't even put a light bulb in, but I understand what you mean about the house.
Yeah, it's amazing. Look, all these macro and micro pulsations really are being picked up in the body's ethmoid organ, that is festooned with the body's own lodestone, monatomic, diatomic lodestone crystal, and that it is tuned magnetically, and that can be really interfered with by a lot of this electrical pollution and stuff that's around, and all of these poisonous compounds that have ferrous iron, like Seroquel does and stuff, and that can have sort of been interfering with people's compasses and stuff, because that's the ferrous molecule crystallized and can pick up a magnetic and hold a magnetic field itself and shouldn't really be in the body, and that's why ferrous iron really is so toxic to people. You see, but it could all be cleared away. You know what I mean? But anyway, look, to have cleared up everything behind the back of your nose area and clear of all mucus and completely be free to function as the ethmoid organ really there is right there, it's coupled to the vestibular organ, and this is allowing you to hold a train of thought amongst many other thoughts, and to be able to have a beautiful internal feeling, and then hear and then see, and things can have been cleared away of all that constant chatter, and things can fall silent more. And this is your original condition. But, it's amazing that they have found a spark plug found encased in a geode rock, and that all found can be reverse engineered. But even like the Earth's current rate of increasing annual precession, that is due to our solar system's binary motion, it is really a fact that what's missing may not necessarily have noticed itself, and an objectified reference within may not necessarily have appeared to have created any contrast of change with respect to what seems constant, but also only changing very slowly over eons of time, Lukey, you know what I mean? But yet the brain really is changing very slowly over eons of time, Lukey, you know what I mean? But yet the brain really is changing very slowly over eons of time, Lukey, you know what I mean? But yet the brain really is changing very slowly.